If you desire some freedom in your business, discipline. You must be disciplined, and not just disciplined, but disciplined in the right areas. If you don't already have a list of what your goals are, create this list. Just take an hour, grab a coffee, go just make a list of like, these are the things, these are the goals that I have for my life, for my business, and then prioritize those things. And think like, if there was only one thing on here that I was able to do this year, what would have the biggest impact in your business and in your life? One of the best strategies that I've done literally since starting this business is surrounding myself with others, building a community of leaders, of business owners, of friends that want the best for me. They're not afraid to share the truth with me. They hold me accountable. They allow me to be open and honest. All of those things forces me to work on the business because I share where I want to go. In this episode, you're going to learn why discipline, not hustle, is the real path to freedom in your video business. You're going to learn how to set one clear quarterly priority that actually gets done instead of collect digital dust. And then finally, the weekly rhythm that separates stuck freelancers from intentional business owners. If your calendar right now is only full of shoots and edits and administrative work and not a single hour of CEO time, this episode is for you. What's up, friends? Hey, welcome to the Grow Your Video Business podcast. My name is Ryan Coral. Why did I say it like that? Podcast. Is it fine to make fun of myself? I hope so, because I do it a lot. There's lots to make fun of here. Anyway, welcome. If you're brand new, sorry, not sorry. I've been doing this show long enough to maybe be more comfortable than I should. I'm so glad that you're here. I've been running my own video production business for the last 20 plus years, and it has been the biggest blessing in my life, and also plenty of times where I don't know if you've heard recently on a episode where I was like ready to burn it all down, probably half a year ago. But there is hope, and so long as you really feel called into this work, like, let's go all in. So my hope, as you are here, we can learn together, we can grow together, we can sharpen each other to be the best version of ourselves in this business. Maybe you call yourself a freelancer right now. Maybe you call yourself an agency owner or something in between. But my hope is that wherever you are at, you are clear on what the mission is. You're clear on what your goal is in your business. You have a plan to achieve those things. And if you don't, then I want to help. And the first thing that you can do, I want you to listen to this episode, but I've created a workshop where I've taken 20 years of hustling and grinding and learning and being coached and failing and falling and just so many different things. I've packed it into a workshop so that you can take away some of my best learnings and apply them into your business. You can get access to this workshop at studiosherpas.com/workshop. So I invite you to check that out. Maybe hit pause on this, write that down, lock that into memory, but go check that out, studiosherpas.com/workshop. And then, hopefully, this episode here is going to give you some solid nuggets to change your life, change your business, all the good things. I'm coming off of what I think has been the busiest week of my entire life. This past weekend, my oldest child, we celebrated him in his graduation party, open house thing. He's done with high school. It's weird. I feel old, but last week we just did everything in the world, every task, every project. I just cannot believe how busy I was. It sounds like my voice is not what it normally is. It's just lots of talking. It was amazing. It was so much fun, but we were on vacation the week before that. And so we came home and it was just like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. We did all these tasks, all these things, up early, stay up late to whatever, make everything perfect for the party. It was an amazing event. And I think he felt really loved. We felt really loved with all the support from friends and family that came out to support him. But then in 3 hours from now, we're going to be on the road. We have another vacation. I don't know whose idea it was to sandwich this, the busiest week of our lives. And then, have vacation on either end, but it'll be great. But here I am, just cramming in everything that I need to before we hit the road for this break. So thank you for joining me. The idea of this episode has come. I've had a handful of conversations over the past few months, and it brings a level of frustration when I hear people talk about their business and how it's not moving forward, how they're struggling. There are so many things that aren't in our control, right? The economy, the political climate, the tariffs, just like so many things that are impacting the businesses that we work with. It's impacting our business. Things that we can't control. And then there are things that we can control. And when I hear people share things that they're frustrated with, it's typically things that are out of our control. And when I ask questions like, okay, well, what are you doing as a result of those things? Because if you're just sitting back and doing the same thing that you've been doing for years and years and years and hoping that it's going to work out for you, that's not a great plan. I think most creatives start their business because they see an opportunity for time freedom. There's an opportunity for financial freedom. And then there's this idea that we can have creative freedom and work on the things that we want to do. But then the work piles up. This story is just heard this so many times. The work piles up. You're editing at midnight to try to stay on top of that. And you're really chasing every single new opportunity in between the shoots and the edits. And you're just stuck reacting instead of leading and taking charge in your business and like taking steps forward in the business. Instead of like, so many times in my business, I think I felt like a pinball, just getting like, knocked all over the place, like reacting to whatever is in front of me. And I'm hoping that after this episode, we're going to flip that. Flippers, like pinball flippers. I want to share with you 3 things that have helped me and so many of the business owners that I've coached to reclaim control, to help you start working on your business and not just in it. So like, let's just stick with the pinball analogy here for a second. Like in the business is reactionary. It's just getting, you're doing all the things that you are right in front of you that you got to do. This phone call, you take the call, the email comes. Oh, okay. I got to do the email, versus like being in control, like the person playing the pinball machine and hitting the flippers. That's what position I want us to be in, where it's, well, I guess that could not be like super relaxed because you're trying to win the game, but to be intentional, right? You can't really control all the places where the ball goes, but you at least have a plan, right? To not let the ball go into the, like, whatever you call that, the hole, and to say like, man, I want to hit the, hit the ramp. I want to do this. And here's my plan to do that, right? Hit the flippers. Okay. Good analogy, question mark. I don't know. But that's where I want us to be, in a place where we feel like we have some control. We have control over the things that we have control over, and the things that we don't. The chips will lie where they will. I'm getting real philosophical here at 9 a.m. Sorry, not sorry. A lot of us, and this hand is raised, we get some success early on. we taste it, right? Which is why we are doing the work today, because at some point we had hope that this would work out. But hope isn't a strategy. You can't rely, you must have hope. You should have hope. And it's okay to get your hopes up. That's great. But the problem is that we get stuck in this, like, just hoping that our previous project is going to get our next work, or hoping that people are talking about us and telling everybody that they know about us, hoping that whatever SEO that we might have set up, people are able to find our website, hoping that people understand exactly what we do and how we can help them, and hoping that people are waking up thinking, I got to call that Ryan guy. I think subconsciously, a lot of us hope that we don't have to do the really hard stuff. The easy stuff is shooting, editing, storytelling, getting the client that's like, yeah, I'm all in. That budget works great. Like, let's do this. That's the easy part. The hard part is, I'm just going to call it's the work, and it's the discipline of the work. It's the, like, being focused on, well, what is the work, Ryan? And if you want to achieve success, there are some people that are just, whatever they touch works out. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Their business blows up. But for the majority of people, that's not how it works. And so if you're not super pumped with where your business is at today, if you're not super comfortable with how much money that you're making, if you aren't sure, like, hey, 6 months from now, I have no idea what's going to happen in this business, then I'm going to sound like a dad. You need some discipline. You need some focused discipline in what you're doing, and focus on the right things, not just in discipline in the right things. You can't just say, like, okay, I'm going to, shoot something. I'm going to improve my editing. I'm going to do these. If you're not focused on the right thing, then all the hard work and all the discipline is for naught. I was faced with a decision back in, I think it was like 2011, where my filmmaking, the discipline of filmmaking and being a better storyteller, I worked on that so hard for years to become a better filmmaker. And we had just had our second child, and my wife wanted me to move out of the house into an office. She wanted me to live at our home, but she wanted me to separate work and home. And I felt like, we were able to charge a lot more money at some point in the business because our work reached a certain quality. But I realized that I had a decision to make, because if I was going to move out of the house and get a studio space, I was going to have like a monthly bill of $500 or $1,000. I don't know how much that I didn't have before. And so I was nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm doing this, like, I've got to make money. And I started examining the two choices that I thought I had, which was like, keep improving as a filmmaker, keep the discipline of storytelling and filmmaking, keep improving on that so I can charge more money. Or maybe there's another way, and it's maybe there are some things that I can do inside of the business that aren't filmmaker related that will help us make more money. Because I was starting to realize that I not that we were capped in how much money we could make, but it was the increments were way smaller than what they were a year, 3 years before that, 5 years before that. And so I just realized that I could continue to work on the disciplines of filmmaking, but I wasn't going to be able to charge much more. But if I looked at the business and focused on some of the things inside of the business, I thought that that's where my opportunity was to make more money. And so when I started the business, we made no money. We didn't have to make any money. And when I say we, it was my wife and I. She wasn't in the business, but just being newly married, not having any debt. And it was like we did not have to make a lot of money. And then as we started having kids and we got a mortgage and then I got a studio space, I was faced with like, I've got to make more money. Like, this isn't like, I can't play around anymore. And that's what I felt like. I was just playing and like it was working and we were making some money and then we were making more money. But then at some point there was this flip that switch that flipped. And I realized like, oh gosh, like I really have to get focused here. So my question for you is like, why did you start your business? And what do you want your life to look like? So if you haven't asked yourself those questions in a while, it's time to re-ask them, because I can share, a strategy with you and all these things, but if it doesn't align with what you want your life to look like, with what you want your business to look like, then it's not going to be helpful. I have bad news. There's no magic bullet in this work. I believe that if you have a clear plan and the right kind of focused discipline, this will help you achieve your goals faster and with better chances than hoping that it all works out, because you do really great work. I'm certain that you do great work, but I'm going to speak to the majority of people who don't have the Midas touch. Those are the people that I'm hanging out with today. So if you have the Midas touch, amazing. Glad you're here. Share all of your secrets. But I know in my experience that being the best filmmaker isn't the thing that has helped this business be around for 20 years, or isn't the way to how we've hit 7 figures in revenue before. I've had a plan, and I've been executing on that plan, not perfectly over 20 years, sometimes better than others. And then also plenty of things out of my control, but without a focused plan and without the discipline of sticking to it, I wouldn't be here where I'm at today. And I'm not even saying like I've arrived. There are plenty of things that I'm working on specifically over the next 18 months that are going to take this business to the next level. I'm excited about that. But here's where I read this the other day, which this was already on my mind, this idea of discipline and magic bullets and all the things. So I read this during my quiet time a couple of days ago. I'll just read a couple of segments from this. When we begin to ask what the conditions of inner renewal are, we receive essentially the same answers from nearly all of those whom we have most reason to respect. One major answer is the emphasis upon discipline. In the conduct of one's own life, it is soon obvious, as many have learned the hard way, that empty freedom is a snare and a delusion. Excellence comes at a price, and one of the major prices is that of inner control. He goes on to say, the one who would be like an athlete but who is unwilling to discipline his body by regular exercise and by abstinence is not free to excel on the field or the track. His failure to train rigorously and to live abstemiously denies him the freedom to go over the bar at the desired height or to run with the desired speed and endurance. With one concerted voice, the giants of the devotional life apply the same principle to the whole of life with the dictum, discipline is the price of freedom. This is written by a guy named Elton Trueblood back in, I think, like the 1920s. Discipline is the price of freedom. So I want to share with you 3 things that have helped me build a 7-figure agency. I haven't done these things perfectly, but it has allowed me to build something that I work on 3 days a week. That's my production company, Tell Studios. I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on that business. I generate 7 figures in revenue, which that doesn't mean that I'm depositing 7 figures worth of money into my bank account yet. I don't work in the evenings. I'm available for my kids. I attend all the things. I'm actively involved, and I am not stressed. There was a season, and it was a long one early on, where I just didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen with the business. I was constantly thinking about the business. I was stressed about the business. I would go to bed and wake up, and I would have my jaw would hurt. I would have a headache because I'd be clenching my jaw, stressed, not really stopping from thinking about all of the things. So the discipline, if you desire some freedom in your business, discipline. You must be disciplined, and not just disciplined, but disciplined in the right areas. So these are 3 things I'm going to share with you. First one is understanding working in the business versus on the business. The biggest difference, working in the business is stuff like shooting, editing, hiring people, doing the accounting, researching new gear, shopping for new gear, playing with new gear. Those are things where you're in the business. You're in the day-to-day. This is where you're the pinball and you're just kind of like going all around. You're just doing lots of everything. Working on the business is stuff that a true CEO works on. This is creating a vision for the business. This is like thinking about where do I want to be in 5 years or 10 years? Who do I want working for me? How much money do I want to be making? This is creating processes. When you work on the business, you're creating processes so that you can eventually delegate things in the business. This is also going to conferences and networking. This is listening to podcasts. This is joining a mastermind or hiring a coach. These are all things that are helping you work on the business because you're thinking about the business. You're thinking of ways to scale the business. You're thinking about how you want to grow the business and what are the things that are going to help you do that. So you're thinking about those. And then when you start applying those things, that's working in the business. And hopefully some of the things that you're doing as you work on the business are going to help you to not have to do certain things that you despise doing when you work in the business. And one of the very first things in my business that I was able to delegate was the accounting. I hired a bookkeeper early on, and man, that was amazing because I didn't keep my receipt. I didn't keep track of stuff. I didn't know how much money we were making and losing and all this stuff. And it drove me crazy not knowing, and then also not really knowing how to do it. I felt intimidated. I was lost. It was like the worst season. And there are probably things in your business today that you would say, man, if I didn't ever have to do that again, like sign me up. The next best thing I ever did was hire somebody to burn DVDs for us. That was another, like, so much administrative stuff. But for me to take the time out to figure out what's the process for doing DVDs, writing that out, giving that to somebody, letting them do that, that led to some freedom there. But I had to have the focus discipline of creating that plan for that person in order for me to experience that freedom. The second thing that I've done right is getting clear on my goals and defining what done looks like. So as you're thinking about what goals do I have in my business? Where do I want to be in a year? Where do I want the business to be in a year? Having goals, like here, actually, here's my list. Having clear goals that done is defined so that it's not like obtuse. It's fine to have goals where there is no clear definition of what it is, but the more defined your goals are, the easier it's going to be for you to figure out how you can achieve that. And then it's going to also be easy for you to say, like, I did achieve it because, like, this is a very clear goal that has a very clear outcome. If you don't already have a list of what your goals are, create this list. Just take an hour, grab a coffee, go just make a list of, like, these are the things, these are the goals that I have for my life, for my business, and then prioritize those things and think, like, if there was only one thing on here that I was able to do this year, what would have the biggest impact in your business and in your life? And then think through, okay, well, what if there were 2 things on this list? And grab that second one that would, and then what's the third one? If you did that third one, this would have the third biggest impact on my business. So then you've got your top 3 things to focus on. Don't focus on them all at once, because as soon as you start multitasking, you're not focused. You got to focus on the one, build a plan for that, and execute. You achieve that one, great. Move on to the next one. You achieve that one, move on to the next one. For so long, I was in the trap of trying to do all of the things, having like 10 goals at once. We get to the end of the year, and maybe I did 2 of them, but it was like, it took me, I got to December, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't achieve any of these yet. So let me, like, race and scramble and do the thing. So the third thing I want to share is time blocking. This has been such a gift for me. raise your hand if you're easily distracted. My hand is raised. Having a calendar will help. What I've done on my calendar is I have sections of time set for deep work. Deep work is like, typically it's like CEO time. This is like me working on things in the business. They're going to help to where I don't have to do those things later. I know Michael Hyatt, he has themed days. So I'm going to get these totally wrong, but like, let's just say Monday would be his day to focus on marketing. And so he'd be creating content for social media. He'd be shooting videos, just that sort of stuff. And then Tuesdays would maybe be his day focused on sales. So he'd be sending out proposals. He'd be sending out cold emails to try to connect to people. Another day for filmmakers, maybe it's shooting, or maybe this is our day to edit, or these are the 2 or 3 days that I have to edit every week. But creating blocks of time through the week and on each day can help you stay focused and not be 2 years into the business and like, oh, shoot, I haven't spent any time working on the business. I have on every day, almost every day throughout the week, I have time where I'm supposed to check my email and do administrative stuff. And that's like a 30-minute block and maybe a couple of those blocks during the day. But then almost every day I have time where I'm working on the business. And it has led me to being able to have employees that do a lot of the things that I don't want to do. If I didn't have consistent time, I mean, you guys, we are able, my team, we are able to do so many things because I've identified things in the work. I have a vision for where I want the business to go. And from that vision, we create yearly goals. We create quarterly goals, which allows me to create weekly goals. And I shouldn't even say goals, weekly tasks. So, every quarter there's 13 weeks. So I'll break this down. We'll have 3 to 5 yearly goals. And then we'll break it up into 4 quarters because there's 4 quarters in a year. And we'll say, okay, what are the 4 milestones? If we're going to achieve, like, let's just say one goal is to create a series of packages that we can pitch to colleges and universities. So what does that mean? That means like we're going to have 3 different packages, 3 different price points that all have different offers, which means we're going to have to figure out what are the things, what needs to go inside of those things. And then what are the schools? Like, what schools do we want to target? Who do we want to go after? What will be a win? Do we want to be able to land, a certain amount of clients? Do we want to be able to sell one of these? Do we want to be able to sell all of these by the end of the year? Do we just want to have the packages built and then next year we start selling them? So we come up with like clearly defined goal and then we break it down. Okay, so every quarter, what is the biggest milestone that we want to achieve by the end of each quarter? And those things are clearly done is clearly defined. So we know what done is. So we can get to the end of the quarter and say, is this done? Yes or no? Not like, yeah, like it's in pretty good shape. It's looking pretty good. Like it feels good. No, like you want measurable, like, is this thing done? Yes or no? So we break that down per quarter. And then in each quarter, there's 13 weeks. And so I come up with a task each week to get me closer to completing that milestone at the end of that quarter. So then I know every week what my job is. And again, like that task is done is defined. It's not this obtuse, like, I can't even think of like an obtuse, like not real definable task. But you know what I mean when I say that. So to be able to say like, is this task done? Yes or no? And then, sometimes I run out of time and I can't work on that task. So then the next week I work on those 2 tasks, or I try to find time later on where I'm like, man, I'm going to need a half day because I've got to get caught up on these tasks. The nice thing about breaking up these tasks over the course of 13 weeks is that sometimes the task is like a 2-minute thing, right? But the time building out those 13 tasks to achieve that one milestone, that takes time. That's working on the business. And because I've been able to do that year after year after year, it starts to compound. The work that I did years ago, today we're experiencing fruit from that that discipline that I had. I've been keeping a calendar. We've been creating goals and tracking that stuff and creating plans on how to get there for years and years, which has allowed me to be able to delegate because I have clear goals that somebody else could say like, oh, I could do that thing, or I could help you do this. I could do this one task out of all these. Without that, without it defined, without done being clearly laid out, all of that stuff normally would just sit in my head, and my team can't help me. I can't even help myself if it just sits there without this like clear plan of like, okay, well, what are the, 2 things that need to get done, or the 10 things that need to get done in order for us to achieve this goal. So my hope for you is that you can start to create focused time to work on your business. My guess is that you don't need help figuring out how to work in your business. You're doing that. But my encouragement is if you can find time every single week to work on your business and do whatever you can to not let somebody book time on top of that. And maybe you create that time at the beginning of the week so that if a shoot or something pops up, you can push that CEO time later in the week and not miss it. But then in that time, you would have clear direction. You would know where you're trying to go. And so you would know what you need to work on versus like just sitting down and being like, okay, time to work on the business. Where do I start? So it starts with like building that plan, thinking through where do I want to be in a year? Where do I want to be in 3 years? And what are the things that are going to help me get there? So create time to work on your business. And then the stinky part is that you just got to commit to it. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to tell yourself that if you really want to achieve these goals, if this business is really something that you want to do for a long time, if you really feel called into this work, you have to commit. Discipline is the price of freedom. And so for you to feel like I am doing the work, I am loving my life, I'm available for my friends, I'm available for my family, I have some financial freedom, we're making cool stuff. To get there, most people, myself included, have to be, I don't want to say somewhat disciplined, but you need to bring discipline into your practice, and you need to bring focus, and you need to have CEO time. And so when I'm saying all of this stuff, I'm speaking to myself. This is a good reminder for me. But if you're just like, I don't know, like nothing's working, are you being consistent? Do you have a plan? Are you working on the most important thing? Or are you working on the most exciting thing? Those are different. Find time to work on the exciting stuff. You need that. That's good for you. But if you want to do this for a long time and you want your business to be healthy and you want your life to be healthy, choose the path or the path of discipline. And if that sounds scary, one of the best strategies that I've done literally since starting this business is surrounding myself with others, building a community of leaders, of business owners, of friends that want the best for me. They're not afraid to share the truth with me. They hold me accountable. They allow me to be open and honest. All of those things forces me to work on the business because I share where I want to go. I don't keep that stuff just to me. I've been embarrassed because there are plenty of goals that I haven't achieved and things that I haven't accomplished, but surrounding myself with people that want the best for me has been one of the best decisions that I've ever made. So if you don't have those people in your life, be that kind of person for other people. And then you will attract those kinds of people in your life. This community right here is packed full of those kinds of people. I have the mastermind. If you're interested in a very focused group of people, check out the mastermind at studiosherpas.com/mastermind. right now in the middle of summer, we're not taking any new people, but you can apply, and we'll start back up at the start of the new year. Consider something like that. Consider the 10X filmmaker community. I mean, this is a group of people that want to grow, that want to share, that want to be a part of something bigger than just themselves, want to feel like they have a board of advisors. So you can go to studiosherpas.com/10xfilmmaker. This is the reason why I do this work, is to create this place where you can feel like you're not on your own, and you can feel like, this is a place where I can share some of those dreams and goals, and then maybe get some insights on how do I get one step closer to achieving, or all of the steps closer. So thank you for being here. I feel like, talking about discipline reminds me, I played high school football, and one of the t-shirts that we had was, it said hard work and discipline. And I know that's like super not sexy, but to know that to build something special, it's going to take that for most of us. I know there's a handful of people where their discipline and their focus for the actual creative work that has scored them, amazing opportunities. But for the majority of everybody else, it's the skills, the video, the storytelling, plus the discipline of working on the business. So just trying to share, at least in my experience, what I think the difference maker is for you. So hopefully this is helpful. Reach out. If there's any big takeaway from this episode that you think was good, feel free to share that in the comments below. If there's something I can help with, feel free to email. My email is ryan@studiosherpas.com. If you like this episode, you want to share it with somebody else, I welcome you to do that. And I think that's all I have for now. So lots of rambling today. Hopefully my editor cleans all the things up and is like, wow, this is a really powerful episode. If not, I'm just going to blame it on the coffee hasn't settled in yet. It's really early, and I'm excited for my vacation. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. If you got something out of today's conversation, do me a favor, share it with a friend or post it on your socials. Tag me at Ryan Coral or at Grow Your Video Business. I'd love to know what resonated with you. If you've got a question or takeaway, drop a comment wherever you're listening or watching this. You can also shoot me a message. I read every single one. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We've got more stories, strategies, and behind the scenes insights coming your way to help you build a business that you love. Keep creating, keep sharing your story, and keep showing up. I'm cheering you on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.